Yo, what's up guys, it's Mars, and I know that I have not uploaded any videos for a really long time, but I'll kind of tell you guys where I've been. But right now I really want to talk about the Pokemon official ban list. So this is honestly something really cool. It's definitely something that I've been really wanting since like 2016, basically the year I started playing Pokemon. But yeah, this is something really cool. I'm really excited about it. The only small issue about the ban list that I have is I guess I don't really agree with the way how they went for it. I guess like mixing singles and doubles, I don't really agree with that too much. But I could also understand as well. There's other competitive esports when they do like patch notes or nerfs. It also does affect like pub games, I would say, like public games. So I could definitely see why they kind of wanted to include it. But yeah, I'm not really gonna talk too much about the ban list. I'm gonna keep it right here for you guys to just to see what's banned, of course. But the main focus on this video is I kind of wanted to show you guys I guess what to kind of expect for Series 6, and also what you could potentially also like use, kind of help you give an idea. We do have a kind of a lot to cover. Again, maybe like of course some of these cores are probably going to be more seen than the ones I'm going to show or talk about. But yeah, really quick, we'll go for Sun. Sun definitely took a pretty big hit, banning Venusaur and Torkoal. I would definitely, that's basically like that, the whole Sun team on its own. You know, Venusaur was incredibly broken, I would say. And then Torkoal, now there was a lot of Torkoals that were running like a relaxed nature. So with like body press to kind of help against like Tyranitar as well. But yeah, but I still think Sun is definitely pretty viable. You know, we do have the Charizard G-Max version, of course, still. You know, the Wild Flames, it's still really good, you know. Getting boosted with solar power, and then of course with the Sun. And then of course, you know, you could definitely go for like Blast Burn. You know, Aaron Trailer did use Blast Burn for his Charizard when he won the Dallas Regionals. So, and you know, it still hits really hard too. And you know, you could still, you know, go off running a Life Orb, or maybe if you're kind of worried about like a Moongus and stuff, like kind of like Sleep Powder or Yawn, you could definitely run Lumberry as well if you like. But yeah, and of course, if you guys have also seen like past Sun teams, like I would say like maybe Series 2 and 3. We saw a lot of Dusclops, Rhyperior in those kind of Sun teams. Yeah, it kind of basically, of course, helps like the weaknesses of like the fire Pokemon. You know, they're both well, Charizard is actually, you know, obviously 4 times weak to rock. You know, Rhyperior does handle that really well with the ground typing. And yeah, and I guess I also kind of wanted to include Gigalith, since the newer kind of Sun teams were running T-Tar. I would think maybe like you would also want another type of weather control. And Gigalith is definitely a pretty good Pokemon, I would say. You know, of course, you know, you could definitely run this with weakness policy. You know, it does get Iron Head. Gets a lot of pretty good move pulls as well. Of course, you know, Rock Slide. It also gets like Superpower if you like. And it's also the fact that it's also really slow, like even slower than Amoonguss under Trick Room. You know, that's pretty good. And yeah, and then after, you know, since they banned Torkoal, you know, it's definitely one of the few Pokemon that are like the fastest in Trick Room, I guess I would say. But of course, you know, there's still Ferrothorn around, but I would say this team kind of scares Ferrothorn away. Let's see here. And as well, for like, if you still want to use like maybe like a Chlorophyll user, you could definitely like run like Lilligant in this team. Lilligant does pretty well here. You know, it does get Chlorophyll. You know, you can run like you know, the standard, like the Leaf Storm, the After You, and the Sleep Powder. You know, if you still want to go with this route, of course, with Lilligant. Or if you don't really want to run Lilligant, you could definitely also run like Roserade if you want to get like that same typing that Venusaur had with the Grass Poison. Granted, this doesn't get Chlorophyll, but Nature Cure is still pretty good ability. It's not that bad. It is pretty fast as well with the 90 base speed. And then the special attack is also really good too. 125. It's kind of respectable, I would say. You kind of have to expect that. Or if you really don't want that and as well as if you kind of look at the team, this team is actually pretty weak to Dracovish. Since now, like I would say, what are some of the few common Pokemon? Rillaboom is gone now. Togekiss to some extent kind of walled Dracovish, or it at least redirected, or it could at least like KO it if it was like an offensive Togekiss with like Starfall and whatnot. Let's see what else. And Venusaur as well. Venusaur kind of did pretty well against Dracovish. So these were like the checks that kind of helped. Oh, and Gyarados as well too. Gyarados is gone too. That's crazy. And then Dracopult as well, since it did outspeed. I think even I don't even think Dracovish even outspeed it in Choice Scarf, which is kind of sad. But yeah, so all the Dracovish starts are gone. So now maybe this team is definitely going to be really weak to Dracovish, because even when Sun is up, Vicious Rend still does a lot of damage. So you would probably want to maybe consider running Amoonguss on the Sun team, because you could definitely redirect with Rage Powder. You could also sleep the Dracovish if you want to. And since you're going to be in Understand more than likely, it's going to be able to take the Vicious Rends a lot more better than without the Sun. So I would definitely maybe consider running Amoonguss and the Sun team here. And of course, you could definitely maybe choose to run one of these two as well. Rhyperior, I still think it's in a pretty awkward spot. So now that Venusaur and Rillaboom are gone, like that's good for Rhyperior, but that also there's still going to be like a lot more water Pokemon, right? So in Series 5 right now, I feel like water types are kind of non-existent just because Venusaur and Rillaboom are just so strong. Now that those two are going to be banned, now more water Pokemon are going to come out, of hiding. So that means, Rhyperior is still going to be in a pretty weird spot. I mean, granted, you are going to have the Sun to kind of reduce the damage for Rhyperior, but, it really just depends. So maybe that's why, like, if you do want to go for Gigalith, you could still set up the Sand already, and you could already get, of course, the plus special defense because of the Sandstream. And yeah, and also you do lose the 4-time weakness to grass and water too, so that's kind of nice. I would definitely maybe consider running between one of these two. I would actually maybe do like Gigalith maybe a little bit more now, especially because of course you do underspeed Amoonguss under Trick Room. So if you happen to get Trick Room up, and they switch in Amoonguss, you could still bulldoze, or you would actually probably have to, of course, increase the IVs here, since you do outspeed, since Dusclops does underspeed, or Rhyperior underspeeds Dusclops, I should say, sorry about that. So, we hit 27, so you could definitely go for 28. So, you get the bulldoze off, boom, boom, there you go. All right, so I think I kind of talked a little bit more on Sun. I think I'm gonna try to do as quickly as possible. All right, next kind of core, I would definitely say you would probably watch out for would be Rain. Rain did get, of course, a really good buff because of Politoed. I think Politoed is probably is the best Drizzle Pokemon with Drizzle ability. And then of course these are like the kind of Pokemon you would more likely maybe want to pair with. Keendra's very good. It does hit really strong. The stats are still very good. It did get access to Hurricane now, so you could definitely still outspeed and don't really need the Rain for speed control. Mantine is also a pretty cool Pokemon. We did see like James Beck use it on his channel, and he was actually surprisingly doing pretty well with the team. With Mantine, obviously, once you click a Life Orb, and then the same thing, you don't really need the Rain for speed control, since it does also get Hurricane, and it's also Stab too, which is really nice, and it could definitely hit like Amoonguss super effectively and pretty hard as well. You could also maybe consider running Ludicolo again. I feel like we did lose, we lost two of the best grass types, Rillaboom and Venusaur. So I feel like grass types are kind of in the low now again. Granted, I would say the best grass Pokemon is Amoonguss, but of course that's not really like an offensive. I do think a lot of Amoonguss are going to be running Energy Ball than Sludge Bomb or Pollen Puff. But yeah, so if you definitely want maybe, and so without Rillaboom and Venusaur, again, like I said, there's going to be a lot more water types coming out of the dark. So having Ludicolo now to kind of check those, like we're definitely gonna see an increase of Lapras. We're gonna see an increase of Gastrodon, Primarina, Milotic, Rotom, Wash, of course. So yeah, Ludicolo definitely does pretty well, and of course it does get access to Fake Out. Yeah, it does have a pretty good move pool. It has Ice Beam, Leaf Storm or Energy Ball if you like, and Hydro Ball and Scald. So yeah, it definitely is something pretty cool. Next Sand, I would say, I guess this is like the next best Sand core, I would say. Again, we have Gigalith as the only Sand stream because unfortunately Hippowdon is banned, so that kind of does suck. But at least we do get like Stoutland. Stoutland is pretty cool. You know, if you guys didn't know, it does get Sand Rush and it does actually get after you. So if your opponent does not have anything to kind of stop the weather, you could definitely lead Stoutland with Gigalith, and then just, you know, you could either choose to Dynamax Gigalith right there and there, and then after you know, and throw off a very powerful Starfall or whatever move you choose to. It does also get Howl, which is pretty cool. You know, it erases both Stoutland's and Gigalith's attack by 1, which is kind of nice. Facade is pretty cool. It's just another good move, just for a stab, you know. And also, it also does help against, like, I do expect maybe to see a few Pokemon with Burning Jealousy. But granted, one of the main Pokemon that used Burning Jealousy was Incineroar and Torkoal, since they were pretty slow. But those are 2 banned, so who knows if we're actually going to see any Burning Jealousy users, or at least it definitely helps with Will-O-Wisps as well too. So if they Will-O-Wisp your Gigalith, you could at least also have like Howl to kind of negate, I guess, the burn, which is kind of nice. And of course, you know, Facade, you know, gets to boost a burn. If you don't really want to run Howl, it also does get Yawn, which is pretty cool. So definitely just a fast Pokemon under Sand. To throw off, like, you know, Yawns on the potential Dynamax Pokemon, so that's pretty cool. I think it is. Stoutland is definitely kind of a fun core, I would say so. I really do like the after you part, you know, with Gigalith, and then we have like Sandslash. Sandslash is pretty cool, I guess. It has okay bulk. I mean, the attack is pretty respectable. The defense is pretty big too. It's not fast as well. The special defense is probably somewhere where it's kind of lacking, but it's definitely one maybe you could consider to use. The move pool is pretty okay too. It does get Earthquake, so if you do lead Sandslash and Gigalith, you can definitely throw off an Earthquake and then activate the weakness policy with Gigalith. Let's see, is there anything else? I think Light Grimrock gets Sand Rush. Is it this one? Yeah, this also gets Sand Rush, but I honestly don't really know what to think about this Pokemon. Like, if it's actually going to be used. I mean, the attack is pretty decent, 115. The speed is pretty good. But again, it's pretty frail. I think you would definitely have to run like a Focus Sash on this Pokemon. But don't get me wrong, you know, a fast Pokemon that throws off, you know, Rock Slides and could potentially flinch the whole team. You know, that could definitely be annoying. Alright, let's see as we go for the next one. And this one, I think this is kind of a fun core if you kind of look at it. A Hail team, but I kind of call it Blue Man Group because they're all blue. This is definitely kind of interesting. I would say what's really interesting is that this team actually covers the whole fantasy core, if you will. Because you know, we have the Fairy typing, the Steel, and the Dragon. Both of these Pokemon are incredibly weak to fire types, or at least Sun as well. And Dracovish, like I said earlier, if you're running this kind of a Sun team, you know, Dracovish definitely helps out for this Hail team. You know, being able to resist the 4 times to fire, and of course, you know, everything just kind of covers each other. So I kind of wanted to include this. I do think this team could have potential. You know, Sandslash did get at least Alolan did get a little small buff, and it does get triple Axle. You know, with when you count the stab and if it hits all 3, so it's like honestly a potential like I believe it's 180 base power. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. So that's definitely cool. And of course, you know, you have Ninetales to set up Aurora Veil. It also does get Freeze Dry. Like I said, you know, we are going to see a pretty big increase of water types, so having the Freeze Dry is really nice. And mostly since we're also going to see like Gastrodon So having Freeze Dry on Ninetales is really good to help out Dracovish. And yeah, and it's definitely Dracovish also really helps against like the opposing weather. If you kind of think about it, like even with the sand, even with like against sun, you know, like I said, Vicious Rant still does incredible damage to majority of the Pokemon there. And then if they do choose to run like a Moongus in the Sand team, you know, you do have Alolan Ninetales and Sand Slash to kind of help get rid of it. Since, of course, you know, Moongus is weak to ice type attacks. And yeah, so I honestly think that like this is definitely a pretty cool, fun core. I would definitely maybe consider making it a team of this maybe in the future. But yeah, I really do like this idea of this kind of core. It does cover like it is like a kind of fantasy and you know, plus with the hail mix in there with the team. Let's see if there's anything I want to talk about. Yeah, with Dracovish, like I said, it does pretty well against like opposing weather. So like even if you're running against Sand team, you know, Dracovish hits the sand, yeah, like Gigalith or Sand Slash or Lycanroc if they choose to run that, you know, it hits them incredibly hard. And if you go up against like opposing rain, then they just kind of set up rain for Dracovish to to like get in there, you know. And then of course, you know, Ninetales, like I said, you know, carries Freeze Dry. So if you're going up against, you know, like like I said, like Mantine, Ludicolo, or Kingdra, you know, they're all 4 times. It's gonna be 4 times weak with Freeze Dry. So I definitely really think this is kind of really cool. I definitely think I could be looked into, you know. Let's see, and then probably one of the biggest ones I would definitely see would be a Hyper Offense, Porygon-Z, Clefairy, Urshifu. They're the only team that didn't actually get hit. Well, actually some Pokemon, some teams did run Indeedee and Rillaboom. Indeedee male, of course, to kind of help against like the hard Trick Room matchups. But we also saw Fesby kind of use a pretty cool Porygon-Z team where he had the Rapid Strike Urshifu instead of the Single Strike. It also did have Rillaboom and Incineroar, but again, you can definitely kind of adapt the team and still perform very well. Since we still basically get one of like the 3 main that you would probably see in Porygon-Z. You know, of course, in, you know, Hyper Beam with adaptability, that's incredibly strong. Granted, I don't think you will see these movesets on this Porygon. You would probably definitely see just like either 3 moves, you know, Hyper Beam, Dark Pulse, Thunderbolt, and Protect, or usually they drop Thunderbolt and then they add in Trick Room for another way of speed control, which is pretty cool. So yeah, definitely watch out for Porygon-Z teams. They're definitely going to be everywhere. All right, and then the next one, we have a couple of versions of Lapras. Actually, Lapras is definitely really flexible. So this is definitely something familiar that we saw like in series 2 and 3, I believe. Where again, Fesby also used like this similar kind of core. We used Arcanine, Dusclops, Conkeldurr, and I think the last 2 were Mimikyu and Tyranitar. So you would definitely try to find something to replace those 2. You could maybe also fit in Gigalith as well. With Dusclops, you know, add the Bulldoze in. And yeah, so this core is definitely really good. You know, we've seen how powerful or how strong like and annoying Dusclops and Conkeldurr could be when they're behind screens. And yeah, so right now, and I also feel like Conkeldurr could definitely come back. As you can see again, you know, Togekiss is gone, Cinderace is gone. Let's see what else. Gyarados is gone as well. But even though, I mean, some Conkeldurrs did run Thunder Punch, but Venusaur as well is also gone. The only thing that Conkeldurr could do to hit Venusaur super effective was for Ice Punch. But again, you know, it could definitely, if it's like Dynamax already, like Venusaur. But yeah, but to some extent, Venusaur could definitely wall Conkeldurr, because a lot of them do run Thunder Punch instead of Ice Punch. And then again, you know, Dracopult, you know, like I said again, a lot of Conkeldurrs, like their standard movesets was always like Drain Punch, Mach Punch, and Thunder Punch. You know, it would be really rare for them to drop Ice Punch, especially in a Lapras team, since they already do have Lapras, you know, as a Ice type attack Pokemon. You know, they had no really reason to run Ice Punch, so it would always be Thunder Punch, and it also kind of does help against like Primarina. So yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 Pokemon that basically walled Conkeldurr, and it was definitely in a pretty awkward spot. But now they're gone, and Conkeldurr is definitely could come back in and do yeah, incredible, pretty big damage. So yeah, we have this core. We also have the Lapras Hyper Offensive core. We did see that a little bit at the end of Series 4. I believe it was. I think it was actually like the same core as this core, but they also added like Whimsicott, Dracovish, right? Yeah. So that was like another kind of team for that. But now, you know, Whimsicott is gone, but you could definitely replace it with Talonflame, another priority Pokemon. With Gale Winds, if it's at full HP, you can definitely just turn 1 Tailwind, and then a lot of these hyper offensive Lapras also ran like Life Orb. So Life Orb, you would probably more likely want Shell Armor. I understand there's going to be a lot of more water Pokemon right now, but there's still your Shifu, and I guess you do kind of want at least to handle your Shifu better, at least so you don't get crit with Wicked Blow, I guess what I want to say. Yeah, and then of course for this, you know, Hydro Pump. This is like the only good water type attack that Lapras gets, unfortunately. And again, Freeze Dry is really good. In some occasions, some people did run Blizzard just for more damage output. Granted, you're not setting up the hail because of G-Max Resonance, but it is nice just to throw off a powerful 140 base power move, you know. And then like for the rest of the game, you can just run Freeze Dry or Blind Blizzard, you know. You know, granted, it is 70%, but you know, it's still a really strong move. You could run Thunder as well if you really want to. But I feel like this team could definitely kind of handle Amoonguss, because it does get Talonflame. You could definitely run like a Safety Goggles on this thing. And then yeah, we saw Dracovish, your Shifu, and then in the back you can also, you know, like I said, you could probably put in like a Trick Room mode in the back for this hyper offensive to kind of help for against Trick Room. Let's see, we also have the Lapras here, this other core, which is kind of like the last core. We kind of saw this a decent amount actually in Series 5, where we saw Comfey-Lapras, Goodra, where like either this Lapras occasionally did run weakness policy, so you could normally lead Comfey with Lapras, and then, you know, self Giga Drain, activate the weakness policy, and then, you know, throw off some very strong G-Max move. And then we also had Goodra here to kind of help against like I would say like the Sun matchup, because Charizard, well, with like Blast Burn, Life Orb, Solar Power actually does a pretty decent amount to Lapras. We're gonna do, yeah, we'll check the calc here pretty kind of quickly. All right, Lapras. We'll use the Picolytics. Oh, okay, so all right, we'll go for that hyper offensive then. All right. Scalding Sands. What the? Let's see. Is Blast Burn here? No, Blast Burn is not here. But what we could do is just put in Overheat. Change this base power to 150. Let's see. Solar Power. Solar Power. Did I pass it? There we are. All right. As you can see. All right. Let's see how much it does Dynamax. As you can see, like for like a timid Life Orb Solar Power Charizard in Sun does about 84 to 99%, so it does incredible amount of damage. And as you saw, like it's also Life Orb too. Oh wait, it's not burn, it's healthy. But again, like I said, it's incredibly strong. We also did see like Fesby use like a more defensively bulky Lapras. So if they're running like this type of Lapras, like I said, you know, it still does ridiculous amount of damage, and it's more likely gonna get knocked out with 1 if not 2 Wild Flame damage. So yeah, let's see where we're at. But yeah, so Goodra definitely kind of helps out against like the Sun matchup too. And then of course, you know, you could run this with the Salt Vest if you like, with Sap Sipper, and make this more as a physical attacker, because of course, you know, with Sap Sipper you can just self Giga Drain, of course. If you don't really want to go that route, you can definitely just go for Light Clay. Have this to be Weakness Policy. Whoops, Weakness Policy, and then just change the Comfey to Draining Kiss. You know, of course, and then you can. Is it this one? Yeah. by age, of course. And then, you know, you can definitely just run, let's see, you can run Taunt, you can run Trick Room. Taunt is really nice for like a Amoonguss too. Or for, I guess, like the mirror as well. Taunt is kind of nice on the Comfey. Atlas Switch if you're a monster. And of course, you know, Floor Healing. It also gets Safeguard too if you don't really want to run Taunt. You can definitely run Safeguard if you're kind of worried about like sleep paralysis on the teams. But yeah, so this is definitely another good Lapras core you can definitely use. You can maybe to some extent squeeze it in with this Lapras core, but that's, of course, you know, that's depending on like the format as well. Let's see. Then the next one we have two Durant. We have the Durant Goth and the Durant Perish Trap Rain. Oh, this should be Drizzle. The reason I'm kind of including Rain here is because in 2018 we saw like Mawile like Perish Trap Rain. So essentially what you would do would be set up Trick Room for Mawile, let it, like, you know, do what it does, you know, because of, you know, huge power with the Mega Form. You know, get a really quick knockouts, and then you finish up the game with Politoed Perish. So essentially you can do the same thing with this, you know. So you lead like Durant Gothitelle if they're not ready, you know. Durant, you know, we've seen in series 2 and 3 how powerful it could be with Life Orb and Hustle boosted. You know, so essentially you just get 2 quick knockouts, and then you have Politoed in the back to kind of finish off for Perish. Or you could also maybe save Durant for the late game, and if you feel like your opponent is kind of weak to Perish Trap like right away, you could definitely lead Politoed Gothitelle, and then, you know, you Perish Trap, you stall him out, and then you can bring in Durant in the back and then Dynamax and then start going into town like that. So yeah, that's definitely something to consider. And, you know, we've seen how pretty dominant it was. You know, you could kind of see here in the Series 3 teams, you know, we saw Maddie, Morgan, top, I think it was Melma, the Melma regionals. Let's see, we also saw Andrew Ding win the Collinsville regional. So definitely Durant is definitely going to be a pretty good Pokemon right now in this season. Granted, we are going to lose Tyranitar, but again, you can maybe run like the Politoed in there to kind of help against like the Sun teams. There you go. Yeah. All right, so then the next one, this is something that we kind of started to see like at the end of Series 5, and it's Grimmsnarl with Screens. So essentially you're basically just running really hard hitting Pokemon, slow but like very bulky as well. You know, we have the Duraludon with the Salt Vest. You know, we've seen how pretty bulky it could get, and then with the high defense is really good. And then we also seen Dracovish and we actually did see a player in the Players Cup this past weekend run like this kind of sort of team, which it was like Arcanine, Gastrodon, Corviknight as well, and Amoonguss. So I know these Pokemon are very legal. You know, they're legal for the Series 6. So you can definitely, this is definitely a team you can definitely try out yourself. I can't really remember what was the player's name, but he did use this team and he was doing pretty well too. It's definitely a pretty good team that you can kind of consider to use. Yeah, and then there's like another version that a lot of people were using. It was Duraludon let's see. It was Duraludon, Arcanine. I believe Gyarados was on there too as well. Amoonguss. And I believe the last one was T-Tar. So of course, you know, 2 of these are banned, but you can definitely replace these 2 with something else with Duraludon. So yeah, this is definitely something that you can maybe consider as well to use. Let's see. Then we have the Water Grass Core. I don't really know what else to call this, but this is kind of a little bit inspired from like Hirofume's team that he got first on the Battle Stadium. I believe it was Milotic instead of the Primarina, and then it was Dracopult and Mimikyu. So again, essentially, this core is still very good. Like we've seen a couple of different versions actually of Arcanine, Primarina, Ferrothorn, and Dusclops. You know, when you just get up Trick Room, you know, and then Life Orb, Primarina, we've seen how so much damage it does, and of course, you know, with no Venusaur and no Rillaboom, Primarina is definitely going to be seeing a lot more usage. And I kind of wanted to add one of these two. I feel like these two could definitely work pretty well in this core, because they do kind of cover like the weaknesses. I would say Hydreigon does pretty well here, because again, you get the Water, Fire, Grass core here, and you also get the Fantasy with Fairy Steel and the Dragon here. And also, it's kind of nice to have a Pokemon that's at least pretty fast, you know. At least you want a Pokemon that's kind of fast, because this is kind of slow. So at least having a Pokemon that's kind of fast is pretty nice. Like I said, you could also run your Shifu if you like, another fast Pokemon. But Hydreigon does actually outspeed your Shifu by 1 point as well too. Okay, this is definitely something to consider here for another core if you like to use that. And then we have like some other, of course, like some pretty fun, I would say, cores that you could definitely use. Let's see. So we have Terrakion, Cobalion, so basically the whole beat up here. I could definitely see them doing a little bit better now. Like I said, one of the biggest problems I would say would be Rillaboom, definitely for Terrakion. We also had like Togekiss to like redirect, so you know you couldn't really do too much damage. Cinderace was kind of a big problem since it did outspeed them, and then they could just Cinderace, you know, with the Iron Head could do really big amount of damage to Terrakion, and then High Jump Kick to Cobalion. Incineroar was, you know, it's not too much of a big deal since they both could hit Incineroar for super effectively. But the problem is like kind of like the repetitive of like you could Fake Out, you can Intimidate, kind of recycle that, made it kind of annoying. Same thing with Indeedee. Indeedee was kind of a big problem because again, you know, redirection. Dracopult, same thing. Something that was super fast and that you could also just max Whirlwind, you know, reduce their attacks. What else kind of walled this too? I would say, I guess, also as well to some extent Venusaur too, because Terrakion, to be honest, it couldn't really touch it. If I'm being honest with you, because yeah, it's just because of Violence, which is incredibly strong, and then with Cobalion, it has an okay, well, not really a good special defense, and with Venusaur, with Earth Power, Max Quake, you know, it was definitely going to do so much damage to Cobalion. So yeah, so I feel like we will definitely see maybe a little bit more of Cobalion, Terrakion, especially when you actually look at like the Porygon-Z team. It kind of does it actually does pretty well against Porygon-Z if you kind of really think about it, because, well, what are the most like standard movesets for Porygon-Z? Hyper Beam, Dark Pulse, and Thunderbolt. And Cobalion and Terrakion both resist 2 out of the 3 moves. So the only thing that you would really want to hit Cobalion and Terrakion would be Thunderbolt, but again, that's not a lot of damage. Granted, they are gonna have a Clefairy next to them, but Terrakion could, of course, do pretty big amount of damage, with a Rockfall, and Cobalion, having the Steel type typing, can go for an Iron Head and potentially KO the Clefairy. And then, of course, I just wanted to add like the beat up partners that you could potentially use. I don't think you would maybe want to use Weavile and Salazzle, but it's pretty good to kind of mention. I think the best one you would want to use would be Sneasel, mostly because of the inner focus. So a big reason why also Dracopult was really used in beat up teams was because one, it was immune to Fake Out, and also it was incredibly fast. And Sneasel kind of does that in a way. It's immune to Fake Out, which is very good. It's also immune to Intimidate, which could be helpful. And then as well, the speed is also very respectable too. Since one of the few Pokemon that outsped Sneasel was Whimsicott, Dracopult, and Cinderace, they're all banned. So Sneasel could definitely, it could actually do some work with in beat up teams. It gets, you get the option of a Fake Out. Of course, you have to run beat up here. It also does get triple Axle if you want to like break Sash on something on some Pokemon, because definitely Amoonguss could definitely wall like Cobalion and Terrakion. So having triple Axle is also pretty nice. to some extent, maybe you could also run Icy Wind, because it does get Icy Wind. Let me see. Yeah, to some extent, you could also run Icy Wind for another type of speed control if you like. Because let's see. Well, no, because you could also outspeed like you also outspeed Durant. Sneasel actually outspeeds Durant, so you could definitely just Icy Wind something, and then get rid of the Durant. Of course, you have to hit, but that's a 5% chance of that missing. So I definitely do think we might see a little bit more beat up now, which is kind of nice. And then of course we have a Colossal. It actually just won the Players Cup too. The Colossal, very very well played for Santino. And again, the Sneasel does exactly what Dracopult does, just a little bit differently. Again, it gets Fake Out, it also gets Surf, and it can get faked out because of Inner Focus. Where's the Surf? Where's the Surf? Is it up here? Yeah, it gets Surf. Again, like I said, you could also run where is it? Triple Axle if you like, or for maybe more damage output, you could also go for Foul Play if you like. Icicle Crash if you as well, maybe. But yeah, so this is definitely pretty good. And again, I'll just add Weavile if you want. I guess if you want a Pokemon a little bit more faster and more damage output. But Sneasel is definitely a Pokemon you would probably consider more using than Weavile for the Colossal team. And of course, for like Aqua Jet users, you could definitely use Azumarill. We've seen Azumarill kind of being used a little bit in Colossal teams, as well as Frumarina. And Santino also used your Shifu Rapid Strike. So yeah, so Colossal is definitely pretty good, I think, right now as well. Let's see. And then the last two are kind of just, just to kind of cover a few things that you can definitely consider built around. And it's just Dusclops and Weakness Policy. I should probably say Weakness Policy Friends kind of thing. Again, like I said, Dusclops gets Bulldoze, so you could activate Gigalith, Rhyperior, or Dragalge. Weakness Policy, and right now we've kind of seen a little bit of Dragalge. We have seen like that Blastoise Dragalge team kind of going around. Granted, it did lose Rillaboom, Incineroar, and Indeedee, but that doesn't mean it's not really completely dead. I think you can still definitely kind of build something around that. And then I kind of wanted to throw in a Araquanid, mostly because it does Dusclops does get Rock Tomb. So again, and this is a kind of nice as well, having Rock Tomb with Araquanid, because that means you don't, if you're going up against like opposing Dusclops like Gigalith, Rhyperior, or Dragalge team, you're not gonna activate their Weakness Policy. You can actually just activate your own without activating theirs, which is kind of nice. And you also still get the minus, the speed minus. Yeah, darn. You get the -1 in speed. There you go. And, and of course, with Weakness Policy. Run this with Weakness Policy, and we've seen Araquanid do incredible damage as well. And then you could definitely run you could either run maybe a let's see, a physical or a special, I guess, if you want. We've seen special like in 2017, because it does get what special move? Because it does get Scald, and with Water Bubble, it increases the power by 2. So Scald is basically essentially going to be 160 base powers, which is kind of nice. And then when you Dynamax it, I think it does go up to what is it, 2 something, 260, I think. I don't know, but it's really strong. So you could go for that if maybe if the team is kind of weak to Intimidate. So you could definitely use that. But more than likely, if you really do want to, more than likely you're going to use the physical side. So you can definitely go for Liquidation here. Leech Life for some more recovery, or lunge if you want to reduce the attack of someone. Poison Jab, I guess, is kind of viable, could be viable. Yeah, it doesn't get too much move pool, so that's kind of the problem for Araquanid. But again, it does pretty hit hard for these two, not necessarily too much for Dragalge. But Rhyperior kind of does handle these a lot well too. And then I guess the last one to kind of end up the video are just pre-evolutions that you would kind of want to consider, I guess. Because all of these Pokemon, their full evolutions are all banned, but that does not mean it doesn't mean you shouldn't not look into their pre-evolutions, because Cottonee still be okay, I guess. It still gets the cool prankster ability, you know, and you get taunt, fake tears, helping hand. Unfortunately, it does lose tailwind, which kind of sucks. But another pretty good speed control that Cottonee gets is, if I can find it right here, is Cotton Spore, which, you know, it lowers the target's speed by 2, which, you know, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. You know, let's see, there isn't like many clear body Pokemon besides Dracopult, but again, that's banned. And I think Klinklang also is clear body, but you know, we're not really gonna see too much of that. I mean, it's a good Pokemon, don't get me wrong, if it's used correctly, but I don't think we're gonna see it too much. And of course, you know, for the dark types, if you kind of look at it, like the only really big dark types we've kind of seen was Incineroar and Tyranitar, but with those gone, Cotton Spore could definitely still be pretty good, I would say. A cool thing that you could also do with like Cotton Spore, I guess, just to kind of throw it out there, would be like if you're on their Trick Room and your opponent has Dusclops and then, you know, whatever, a weakness policy user, you could actually Cotton Spore the weakness policy user, so it attacks first and then Dusclops attacks next. So like I guess that's only just so you can like maybe survive an attack and not get completely destroyed by a weakness policy boost. So I mean, that's kind of pretty cool. Granted, you're more than likely might want to make this like full-on support like Clefairy normally is, because it's not really gonna do any much damage. But yeah, so you could definitely run Taunt, Fake Tears, Helping Hand as well, Cotton Spore for like some speed control, or maybe you also want to run like Memento, which is kind of pretty good as well. Could definitely help you get like a free switch in, because more of the time they're probably gonna ignore Cottonee, since, you know, they're gonna see it, they're not really gonna worry about it too much. So being able to kind of lower your opponent's attack and special attack by 2, and then also get like a free switch in the next turn is kind of nice. Let's see. And as well, we also saw Jamie Boy. I kind of wanted to throw that out there. We also saw Jamie Boy kind of, no, not kind of, he won the I think it was the Liverpool regional, if I'm correct, or probably not, I don't know, I think it was the Liverpool. And he also used Cottonee there and he won that, so that's pretty cool. He also used Togetic at a regional and he also won that as well. Togetic is definitely another Pokemon that's really bulky with Eviolite too, if you add that too. I think I think from the calcs, it lives a -1 Durant Life Orb also, which is pretty good. I think that's pretty good. If you look at Clefairy, I think even at -1 it does not live that. So Togekiss kind of has a beat there. Granted, you know, Clefairy is really good because of the Friend Guard. But you know, at least Togetic does, you know, you can still use Follow Me, you can still use Helping Hand, since it is going to be pretty slow. If you really want to make it slow, like, let's see, maybe a Relaxed, you can definitely run After You, which is pretty cool. You kind of help against like the Trick Room matchups. And it's, you know, and again, like the typing, the flying typing is also kind of nice, especially if your team is kind of weak to Pokemon that are I guess if your team is weak to Pokemon that are, how do I say this? I guess if the Pokemon that you're going up against are, if your team is weak to especially defensive Pokemon, or at least getting the boost from like Max Quake, at least, you know, Togetic definitely kind of helps that as well. So because they could just redirect the ground type attacks, which is kind of nice, and they don't get the boost from that. But yeah, I would definitely consider maybe running Togetic if you don't want to run Clefairy, because again, Clefairy, it's a good Pokemon, but it's one of those Pokemons where like it only really kind of fits in one specific team, while with Togetic it could at least be a little bit more flexible, I would say. And actually, what's pretty funny, Dazzling Gleam actually KOs Urshifu Rapid Strike, I mean Single Strike. Let's see. Alright. Whoops. Oh, I think that's Dynamax though, right? Yeah, that's Dynamax. Yeah, it has a 75% chance to KO your Shifu single strike. So I thought that was kind of funny, and you could definitely run Togetic for that too. And also with Super Luck, you can definitely get the KO there too, because we've seen Super Luck Toad just be super annoying, and how easy you can get like the crits. And then again, you know, we have Tarot Cat. You know, Incineroar is banned, but we still do get Tarot Cat, which is kind of nice. It does have Intimidate, another Fake Out user as well. Unfortunately, I think it does not get Burning Jealousy or Snarl, so that definitely hurts Tarot Cat. But it still has some pretty good move pool. It still has a respectable move pool, and it's also really fast too. It's a 90 speed. It could be a nice fast taunt user, a fast parting shot user, or Will-O-Wisp if you don't want to use Arcanine for some reason. Let's see, Overheat for like a more for damage output, or Flare Blitz if you like. But yeah, Tarot Cat is definitely something to look into, especially since again, Maddie Morgan topped at the Melma regional with Tarot Cat, so that's pretty cool, you know. Let's see, and of course, you know, we did lose Rillaboom, but we could still use Thwackey, and it's actually pretty funny. It's funny because his stats are actually not bad if you really look at it. 85 is pretty good. 80 speed is actually incredible, to be honest. When you really look at the speed tiers of this format, this guy is pretty funny. You know, still gets a Grassy Surge, of course. It still gets like the great move pool, the Fake Out, the Knockoff, Grassy Glide, and Wood Hammer. Another funny thing that I saw for Calcs is that Thwackey. Let's see. We'll look into this, I guess. We'll do that. We'll do that, Lapras. We'll go Adamant, Grassy. You see, like right here, an Adamant, no EVs on attack, Wood Hammer, and Grassy terrain. There's about 75 to 89% to a Lapras. I mean, granted, it's not Dynamax, but I think that's kind of funny that it does that much damage to a Lapras. And then if you look at like other bulky water types like Primarina, you know, Wood Hammer is a 25% chance to a KO. So yeah, so that's pretty funny. You can definitely like put in a little bit more EVs if you like, so you can maybe get the KO. You know, as you can see, like right there, like you only need like a couple EVs and attack to actually KO a Primarina with max HP too. Let's see, if we look at maybe a Milotic set, that could be a little bit different. If it's like maybe the if it's the Coil Hypnosis, you know, Wood Hammer still does a pretty respectable amount. Or if it's just maybe, and I guess if it's not a Coil and it's more like, I guess maybe more offensive but not too offensive. Yeah, you know, it's still, yeah, it's not. It doesn't KO, but it still does a really good amount of damage for a pre-evolution Pokemon, if you really think about it. Then again, you know, Porygon-Z, you can maybe get away with running Porygon with the Eviolite. It's still pretty bulky. The stats are still pretty good with Eviolite. The abilities are still great as well. You know, it gets Trace, Download, Analytics. Analytic could be pretty good since it is slower than Porygon-Z with the base. Let's see. Yeah, so it'll hit 40, which is kind of nice. You know, Analytic could definitely work out there if you want consistent more damage output. The move pool is still really good. It still gets Ice Beam, Recover, Thunderbolt, and Trick Room, of course. You could definitely still EV this to live like a close combat from your Shifu. So that's pretty cool. And then the last one to end it up would be Magneton. We did lose Magnezone. Again, I don't really think we'll see this too much. But we did lose two steel types, I guess. We did lose Excadrill and Magnezone. So having another steel type to maybe potentially use is not bad. Especially with the increase of water type. Magneton could definitely see some usage. I would more than likely run Sturdy. I don't think I would run anything else. But, yeah, like Analytic is... it was good for Magnet Zone, but not for Magneton, because if you look at the speed, like base speed 70, like that's pretty good. That's kind of average, to be honest. And then, you know, you could definitely use Magneton, especially the special attack is still respectable. 120, like that's really good. So yeah, definitely running like sturdy, and then, you know, I guess I wouldn't really know what movesets what item to run. You could definitely run like, let's see, not Life Orb, of course. More than likely, I don't know, you could run Air Balloon, I guess, if you want, or Magnet, or what is that, or Expert Bell, or what is the other Pokemon, or that other move that increases the special attack? I forgot, it was like another move like that. So yeah, I mean, we might see this, you know, but again, it's something to consider, you know, the pre-evolutions, because I think it would be pretty fun to use. I would really think Togetic, Terracat, and Thwackey would be seen a little bit in usage, because again, Grassy Surge is still a very good ability, and then when you add the Eviolite to Thwackey, if you're not using the Eviolite already, it's actually still pretty good, and it could definitely lift some attacks, because like I said, like the bulk is not bad, you know, 70 HP is really good, 70 defense, and 60 speed def is really good when you consider the Eviolite. And yeah, I think that's it for the video. Yeah, we have gone about, oh my goodness, almost 50 minutes. All right, so yeah, that's it for the video for today. Yeah, these are the cores and the teams I would kind of consider that we would expect to see for Series 6. And then again, hopefully this kind of helped you guys a little bit more of an idea of what to use for the this upcoming series. I'm actually really excited for it. I definitely think the ban list is something, you know, long overdue, to be honest. And I'm really excited what they could definitely do with ban lists later on in the future. And yeah, I guess before I end the video, I do want to say, like, I guess where I've been. You guys don't really follow me on my socials, where I usually do post sometimes. I have been streaming on Twitch for the past month. So I'm still playing Pokemon. I'm still playing it like every day. I actually do stream on Twitch 5 days a week, which Monday through Friday. Usually the schedule is at 2 p.m. Central. So yeah, I am, yeah, by the time maybe this video goes up, I may be already streaming, or in the middle, yeah, like, or more likely in the middle of streaming. So yeah, as far as like YouTube content goes, not really sure what I really want to upload. I think I would probably want to upload like maybe some stream highlights would be pretty cool for the channel, or what I guess what I could do would maybe go into my game, like open up another account, and then, you know, kind of play that game a little bit through to the point where I could maybe play like on the battle stadium, and then use that account, and then to use like feature like pretty cool teams on that account, I guess. But yeah, so if you guys were wondering where I've been, I have been on Twitch, so I'll definitely leave the link in the description if you guys want to ever check out my Twitch channel. Like I said, I am there. I do stream about every day, Monday through Friday, unless something comes up. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you guys did stick around for the whole video, and yeah, hopefully maybe I get to see you guys in my live streams. And yeah, let me know what you guys are also excited about for this Series 6. And yeah, I would like to hear what kind of team you guys are building for the Series 6. I definitely do think a lot of these, yeah, like I said, we're definitely gonna see like Porygon-Z, Lapras, and Durant teams in the beginning. But yeah, I'm curious to see what you guys have been thinking about to using. I definitely do want to like maybe consider making a team with the Sand Core here. Of course, maybe not with Like It Rock. Maybe like start off with these three and then go on from there. Definitely do want to try out this Blue Man Group team. I actually think it's pretty. It could be really fun to use. And yeah, all right. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you guys haven't already. And again, feel free to follow me on my socials. And as well, yeah, like I said, I do stream on Twitch Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Central. And yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.